It's a Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Fodringer, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box, the Dauphin, he can hit them, and he does. Oh! The Dauphin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello everybody, welcome again to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Rotherham United had an away game, which meant we lost. That's how it works. If that sounds familiar, that's because I said exactly the same about 4 days ago on our last episode. This time it's a 3-0 defeat in London against Millwall. We'll talk about it. I don't. We'll talk about it.
Do we have to?
There was a moment last night watching the game thinking this is really, really bad. But then I thought it's going to get even worse because I've got to talk about it for an hour tomorrow. Here we are. We're going to talk about it for an hour. But we'll try and get through it as we always try and do with these kind of things. We'll try and make it a bit like therapy. And we'll hopefully by the end of the episode feel better about it. I don't know if that's possible with this one, to be honest with you. Anyway, Mick, other than Rotherham United, how are you doing?
Oh, good, mate. Thank you. You?
Other than Rotherham United, pretty good. Yeah. Danny, you?
Yeah, other than Rotherham United, I'm doing quite well.
Good. 3-0 defeat, as we mentioned, at Millwall. Let's go through some of the comments, because I think the comments will be busy tonight, to be honest with you. Yours says, good evening, what an embarrassing performance. The fans that made the long trek should be reimbursed their hard-earned money. YouTube users with us. Says, good evening, all. Terry Fenry says this should be a very short podcast. It's going to be a very short or a very long podcast. I'm not sure which one it's going to be yet. Martin Holland's with us. So it's Gav Grundy. Gav Grundy says, similar results away from home. Chris W81 says, evening all, have we got over yesterday yet? No. Chris Wright says, hi, evening lads, how can you defend that? Jim is with us, as is Scott Grundy, who says it's awful. Troops travels says, hi all, relegation it is. We will talk about the game. We will also try and put some perspective into the situation as well. Once we've had a rant, probably. But let's talk about the game, Mick. Was there a moment in that game of around 100 minutes, including injury time, where you thought, do you know what, we're going to get some out of this?
Yeah.
Was there?
Yeah, there was, yeah. But it was before the kickoff. From probably 30 seconds after the kickoff. But it was patently obvious what was going to happen. They might as well have just given Millwall the 3 points after the first 2 or 3 minutes, and we could have saved everybody a load of trouble. I can't. I'm struggling. I'm really struggling to. I want to be positive. I want to be positive about the club. I want to be positive about. We've been positive all season. Saturday was not great. Not great at all. We were able to pick some positives out of it. I'm struggling last night. I'm struggling to pick anything out of last night, anything at all that was positive. Something may come to mind during the course of this podcast, but at the moment, nothing. I've got nothing. It's just quite worrying, really. Yeah.
I just want to bring up to you a few stats in terms of the away form, Danny, before we come to you, mate. I went on Radio Show. I mentioned this to the lads in the group chat we've got. So we talked about the pre-Huddersfield game. We're now 18 games without an away win in all competitions. Our overall record in the away games in the Championship is now sits. This is still off Radio Sheffield. This is now sits in 9 wins in 96 games in the Championship. 9 wins in 96 away games. It's really difficult. We talked about this last episode, Danny, and it's really difficult. This isn't a Matt Taylor problem for some reason. It might not even be a Paul Warren problem. This is a huge problem because look at last season. We won 2 games. If we won 4 away games all season last year, 5 away games, we'd have been 17th or something stupid like that. We're not far away from having a really good season. It's these away games, these horrible performances in the away games that are really killing us.
Yeah, it's just Rotherham's relationship with the Championship at the minute. Like you say, I mean, Garen, right. I'm going to make a prediction. The 100th away game, including that start, will actually win. Which would make it...
Wednesday?
Christ, it might be.
Will that make it Wednesday game?
I'll let you explore that one. But I'm not using that as a thing to defend any of the performance last night, because as soon as I started watching, it's like, oh my God, it's going to be a long night, this. And the first half, it was just all Millwall. I don't even think we had a shot on target I don't even think we had a shot in the first half. And if we did, it just didn't register. Millwall just all over us. The formation was so wrong. And
I couldn't work it out, to be honest with you. I couldn't work out the formation watching it.
You had Onyedinma, Nombe and Hugo, and it's like, right, so is that Nombe and Hugo up top as a 2 and Onyedinma's wide, but then that limits him running forwards on that side. It just didn't work at all. And the little split second that we had where it was like, oh, actually, we're getting into the game a bit now, was early in the second half when we had to change things. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say Matt Taylor made the wrong decision in bringing Nombe off. I think he should have brought Hugo off, because Hugo was getting ragged about so much that they needed someone with pace to go past the defenders. Like, I get Millwall's like stereotypical big back line sort of team. You need that big attacker to match up to him. But if you've got the fast guy in Nombe, right, he might be able to get past him. Again, hypotheticals, he might be able to get past him. But at the same time, if he does get past him, they're more likely to be more visible hanging onto his shirt and pull him back and actually get the foul, because I felt Hugo got bugger all.
He got ragged all over the place, didn't he?
Exactly, but the referees obviously looked at Hugo and gone, oh, he's the big centre forward. He'd come on to expect that. I won't give him anything. But it's like... I was so annoyed after the performance last night. I actually had to go upstairs and have a lie down just to recompute. I was so angry at it. And I'm going to sit here and say, I need to limit my words very carefully because I need to remember that we're live. I'm going to say it was very, very poor. I'll say that. Very, very poor. I want to say something else, but it was very, very poor. And I agree with everybody.
There was around my house last night, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, yes, there was in mine as well, that doesn't dare get repeated on YouTube because, demonetization and all that. But I agree with the comment. It's absolutely undefendable. Absolutely undefendable. I can understand the fans' voice and the frustrations at the players after the match, because if I'd travelled down to London, I'd have been doing the exact same thing. It's just after what happened at Huddersfield, where we were outplayed by them shooting it wide and just chasing after the ball, completely outplayed by that. We needed a reaction at Millwall, and it's as if we've just gone, oh no, never mind, and done nothing about it. The reaction was the change in formation, which didn't work. But then even after we changed the formation to better suit the tools that Matt Taylor knows that we've got, it still didn't work because Millwall scored more goals in the second half than the first.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it talks about the setup, and it's difficult. Matt Taylor said that it's difficult to assess the attacking play because the defence is essentially so bad. And that's a fair comment, to be honest with you. But then my issue is we didn't look after the ball. This is where the problem comes from. This is where it came again. It came from against Huddersfield for me. They don't look happy and comfortable on the ball at the minute. There's only one player on the pitch, and it's Tiahi, that looks anywhere near comfortable on the ball at the minute. And we've got Cam Humphries, who we know is pretty good technically on the ball. Dexter's had some really good moments technically on the ball. Sam Klukas is obviously a decent footballer, so again, going to be technically good on the ball. I could go on. We've got players who can put their foot on the ball and do something, but they just, for some reason, weren't able to do that. It was like a cup game. It was like a championship team against a League 1 or 2 team last night. Certainly the first half, anyway. First half an hour, it just looked at different levels to us.
I don't understand, and I'm really struggling with this. I've watched football for a long time, and the Jekyll and Hyde performances of Rotherham United away from home and between away from home and at home is something I've never seen before. They are genuinely unrecognisable as the same team. It just I can't get my head around it. There's zero composure whatsoever anywhere on the pitch, with the exception possibly of Tahi. You're right, I think he tried to calm the game down a little bit and tried to pass the ball. I think Odoffin did the same when Odoffin came on. He had an impact. The first half, Ollie Rathbone was just all over the place. There were misplaced passes from just about everyone of the outfield players. Victor couldn't keep it on the pitch a couple of the times when he's kicking either from goal kicks or from passes back to him. It was just, I don't know. This has to. It's got to be down to confidence. It has to be. It can't be anything else. And I'm. You look at the way that we played against Norwich, the way we played against Leicester, the way we played against Blackburn until the referee took over the game. All those games, we've been absolutely either winning those games or well and truly in those games and looking to get something out of it. Away from home, we're not even close to being in the game. We're not even close. It was woeful, and I can't see how it can be tactical. I can't see how it can be. It's certainly not ability. I'm not buying that from anybody. I'm sorry, I'm just not buying it, because I've seen with my very own eyes that they have the ability, because they've shown it. They've shown it at New York Stadium. So I'm not buying that, and I'm not buying this League One players nonsense, or we're not got Championship standard players. I am not buying it, because they've shown that they can do it. It's something else. It has to be something else. Tactics, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. We're playing Millwall here. We ain't playing Leicester away from home or Norwich away from home. We're playing Millwall. And with the greatest respect to Millwall, they are a bang average Championship side. Bang average. And they prove that year after year by being just about in the middle of the table. You know? So it has to be a mentality issue. And I don't know. I don't know what to say, really. I don't know how Matt Taylor's going to address it, but he's got to address it. But we have to rely at the moment on our home form. This is not going to continue. We are not going to play that badly all season away from home. That is not going to happen. Much as everybody likes to think that it is, so we can have something to moan about or something to shout at, but that's not going to happen. It will change, because the issues will be thought out and addressed, I'm sure. But we can't have much more of that. Anyway, you know, it's just, like it's been said, that the attitude of the players, I don't know whether that's the right word, the way that they played, the way that they approached the game is not acceptable. It's not acceptable at all, at any level. You know, had that been a League Two game last night, we'd have still lost 3-0.
Yeah.
You know, without a doubt, because we had no impact on it virtually at any stage. I accept that we had 2 goals disallowed. I'm not sure really why on either of them, but there you go. Well, we can.
I think the first one was offside.
We're very close.
Funny how linesman managed to spot that when, you know, I watching the game. I said this to my wife. We had a free kick on the edge of their box, where everybody's lined up on the edge of the 18-yard box. This is no good for the audio listeners, but the linesman is stood like that. So he's stood leaning across to look along the line. And it's, how can you see? So I always spotted that offside, because if it was offside, it was tight. It's utterly beyond me. But anyway, that's by the by. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant in the context of the game. Yeah, Matt Taylor's got some proper work to do, but the players have got to stand up. They've got to stand up and be counted. And none of them did last night, or very few of them did. You know, no aggression, no fight, no passion, no skill, no ability.
I know you said earlier about Ollie being a bit over the shop in the first half, but I thought in the second half he was the only one who really tried to dig something out of it, because he seemed to be the only one who really going in for the big challenges and getting a foot in, whereas everybody else was quite almost standoffish from it. They were nervous to go for it.
That might be the case, yeah. but one player stepping up is no good to anybody, is it?
Oh no, exactly. It's no good. That it should be everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. They all know what the responsibilities are. They all know what the roles are, and to be fair, very few of them stood up and put their heads above parapet. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great away from home.
No, it's not. Danny, Matt Taylor's going for a lot of stick on social media today. I suppose understandable. If you look at his record, I suppose he's the manager. I suppose the book stops, and he will probably say this himself, the book stops with him. But are you questioning Matt Taylor's away tactics, mentality, or are you saying this has got to be on the players, like Mick sort of alluded to there?
I think it's a mix of the mindset we take into away matches, but also the players' confidence that comes from that. And then, like Mick said, the players not stepping up to that. I think it transcends tactics because, like the stat you said, we've won 9 in 96?
Yeah,
something like that. So that transcends tactics because that's how many managers is that? Is that 5 managers? Because you had Evans, Stubbs, Redfern, Warnock, Warne, and now it's 6. It's now Taylor. But with Warnock, that's like your outlier because he came in
3 of them.
Yeah, he's exactly Warnock won 3 of them, and he were only here for 14 games total, I think. So it transcends the tactics side of it because every manager has a different set tactics. So that to me says it's more of the mentality you take into away games in the Championship. I don't think it's the club's mentality to away matches full stop. It's away matches in the Championship. We almost seem incapable of really like taking the game back scruff at collar and going for it. It's like two of the away games that we've won in the Championship. I think have been against Sheffield Wednesday.
One against Sheffield United.
One against Sheffield United.
How many of those 9 were outside South Yorkshire?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. How many of those 9 are outside a derby?
6.
Was there anybody else?
No.
Okay.
I mean, even that were that. I don't know the stats, man. It was 6.
All right.
Yeah. So anyway, so I think it goes above tactics, and like I said, a stopgap with the manager themselves. It's the club's approach to away matches in the Championship that needs shifting, and then you get the knockdown of player confidence, blah blah, and it just does. It takes really to rag it up and just go right now. Come on, we need to really put a shift in outside of it being a derby, and we're just not doing it.
It doesn't even take that. It doesn't even take that. What we're doing is we're going away from home and trying to soak up pressure, trying to absorb the pressure. We're trying to come away and see if we can get away with a 0-0 or sneak a 1-0 or whatever. We are not playing in the same fashion, and we're losing. So therefore, the next option surely is to play in the same fashion as we play at home. We may well still lose, but at least with the more chance of us getting, more likelihood of us getting something out of the game.
Yeah, and it shows the fans that you're actually trying and give to about it.
It's not about showing the fans, is it? That's not what it's about. We want it to be about that. Of course we do. But that's not what it's about. It's about winning games. It's about maximising the points that you can get. And the current setup of just trying not to lose 9 out of 96 goes to prove that it does not work, because that's what we've done all the time that we've been in the Championship. Every time for the last however many times, we've just tried to go away from home and trying not to lose. It's not working. It doesn't work. It's proved not to work. At least if you're going to go away from home, you're going to play your football, play the same style or similar style to the way you play at home. You may well continue to lose games, but you'll win more than we are doing already. You cannot allow teams at this level to get on top in the first 10, 15 minutes of the game and stay on top. And that's exactly what we're doing. It's just pointless. We might as well just wave the white flag at the first whistle and just tell them to get on with it, because that is not the way to approach these games. It's proved. Stats are proving it, and the performances are proving it.
Yeah, they are. John Mill says Taylor is the manager. It's his job to fix it. End of. True, but there's also some responsibility on the players as well. You can't. Yeah,
there's as much responsibility on the players to put into practice
what the manager says,
what he's asking them to do, and what he's telling them to do, and they haven't done.
No, they haven't. Well, they clearly haven't, because if that's what he asked them to do yesterday, then he's in wrong profession. And I don't believe that's what
he clearly hasn't asked them to do that.
Yeah. Let's just go through some negative comments, because I think some of them need addressing, contextualizing, if that's a word. Troop says sign players that are not capable of championship level. I've seen that a lot today on social media, and that's just not true. You could say that some of these players are questionable whether they are experienced at this level. But Deja is a championship player. Cafu's a championship player. Tyler Blackett's a championship player. Revan looked okay at times yesterday.
I suppose Victor's been in the team a while, but he's championship quality. I'd say Morrison is as well.
Vex is a hot prospect. Vex looks a really good player today. So this thing about players not being championship, I'm not. And as Mick said with the eye test, I suppose we've seen these guys play. I've seen them play at New York Stadium. I know how good these players are. I've seen it. It's just a mental block or something. Chris Taylor says we have to score the first goal with no chance of turning, and that's something else that you can add into that. I don't have the stats on this one, Mick, because it takes some working out. But our record from going behind is again a big problem. So that's even more reason. So is that more reason to start on the front foot and try and get the first goal? Or is that more reason to try and soak up pressure because you don't want to concede that first goal?
But we're always conceding it. So what's the point?
Well, yeah.
And if that's the case, that 100% points to it being confidence.
Yeah. You can see him. When we considered that first goal, by the way, it was like they'd conceded a 92nd minute winner. There were players all on. They were just on floor, a couple of players, weren't they?
Again, that plays into it's the mentality of it. Oh, we've conceded first again, right, we're going to lose. That almost seems what the mentality is, rather than it being the dig deep, get a goal back.
Yeah. Chris Lester stuck hoofing it anywhere at the pitch. Hugo stands no chance for him. And Hugo's who brought a stick as he does. But what's he meant to do? I mean, let's ignore the fact he ragged around for 20 minutes. But with those balls that are coming up to him, I don't know what Hugo's meant to do. If he wins one, there will not be anywhere near him. But he's not going to win most of them because their defenders are 6'7", ragging his shirt every week. The problem isn't Hugo and Nombe. The problem's further back for me anyway.
It is. The problem is knocking the ball up long to Hugo. That's the issue. They're expecting to do something with it. You can see as a player. You can see as a player how he's been treated. You can see that he's been thrown about all over the place. You can see that the referee, as soon as he gets thrown about all over the place, is going to give them a free kick. It's happened. It happened all last night. It's happened all season. Hugo does bring some of that on himself with his stupid holding his head half the time. However, it's pointless. It's absolutely pointless, particularly given the size of that Millwall defence.
Yeah.
I have no explanation for that. It's just madness.
And it completely eliminates the midfielders who are actually good on the ball. I noticed the majority of the time it was Blackett and Humphries was guilty of it as well. Either get the ball, pump it long to Hugo with the hope he'd get something on it and potentially play in Nombe, but it just wasn't working. It completely takes out the midfield, which is where you can generate the possession game that we're trying to play. But if they don't get on the ball, they can't do that. And I would like to say I said this on the podcast when we previewed Millwall. We need to try and find the space to play into and play through them, not hoof it long. And what we done, hoofed it long, and it didn't work. Which is why I said Hugo was the wrong man to leave on. It should have been Nombe, because then it would have brought the ball down, because you've got no big man with the big defence, if that makes sense. But yeah, and why do we default to hoofball when why is that our default setting?
It was same under one though, wasn't it?
It shouldn't be a default setting.
It's an easy ball. It's an easy out ball. It shows.
Yeah.
It shows like a confidence. Like, oh my God, I can't deal with this ball. I will get it away. again, it feeds into that.
But then a lot of the time we actually played ourselves into trouble because we seem to play where the space wasn't.
Yeah.
We tend to play the pass to the player that's got two already next to him rather than finding space for somebody or even keeping hold of the ball a little bit. But then we've just pumped it long. It's like, oh no, I don't want the ball. I'm going to pump it long. I'm not confident with it. It's just, and that's what infuriates you as a fan because you can sit and see what's happening, but because it's in your head and they're not doing it, that's what makes you angry at it.
Yeah.
But it's just, we shouldn't have a default setting of hoofball. I get it's the easy ball and everything, but it shouldn't be a default setting. It should be, this is our plan, and if it's not working, this is the backup plan. Not this is our plan. Oh, there's no confidence hoofball. Yeah.
Alric says, again, just to add context of hands up, who thinks Steve Evans would put those displays face with an emoji next to it? Yeah, Steve Evans wouldn't be very happy, but I also remember playing Port Vale away and losing 5-0, 6-2 with Tom Pope scored 4. I could play name a couple other times that Steve Evans was in charge and Bronny was probably in charge and Paul One was in charge, that we've had terrible games. But last night wasn't the worst performance Rotherham ever played. It was odd, but it wasn't the worst. So yeah, and that's why I think people are rushing to things. John Morell says, because players aren't confident enough at this level, with the same players, when players pumped up to Jukovic at Birmingham, won't change until you get better players on the ball.
If we have the good players, they're in midfield and they're not getting on the bloody ball. Oh dear, I need a drink.
What I would say, Mick, is the name of the episode is Deja Vu again. That's because Christmas last year we lost 2-0 away to Huddersfield and then 3-0 away to Millwall in the worst run of last season. So this isn't a new thing. I think this was worse than the Millwall game, although that Millwall game was bad on New Year's Day. I think this one is worse. But this is maybe a thing of Matt Taylor's almost style. He's got to get through these. He's got to see these performances, understand these performances, to then maybe move forward and hopefully improve. Because we did improve throughout the season. We were so much better up for the rest of the season post Millwall in the league last season.
Yeah, we were. Absolutely, we were. And I've no doubt he'll turn it around again this season. I've no doubt at all in that, personally. But we're not talking about what's going to happen for the rest of the season at the moment. Or we're still venting our spleens on how upset we are that we didn't get our 3 points last night. So we've got some more foot stamping to do before we can start to look forward and say anything positive. Because if you do, you'll be criticised, won't you, for being a happy clapper? So let's do a little bit more Taylor bashing or whoever else we want to bash before we try and start to look forward. Yeah, he'll turn it around. I'm sure he will. This is he's a brand new manager, or a newish manager. He's learning. He's still learning. He'll continue to learn, like we all do in life. He's ambitious, he's keen, and he wants to learn, and he wants to better himself, and he will better himself. So you've got to go through these difficult periods and these poor performances in order to learn how to get better. Having said that, last night's performance was way, way, way below the standard of what you would be expected, what should be expected as a minimum. So he has got a lot of work to do, but the players have got a lot of work to do as well. What's gone off in the past, how many games we've won in the last 96 away from home is absolutely irrelevant. It's in the past. Nothing can be done about it. And it has no bearing whatsoever on the next away game. None. Not one jot. It hasn't, when you actually boil it down. So that's the kind of attitude that they need to be approaching these games with, as opposed to, we've gone 1-0 down, so we're going to lose. That's clearly the attitude, or that's the attitude that appears to come across as a supporter. We'll see. We'll see how it pans out, but I'm not one for throwing baby out with bathwater like a lot of people are.
No, and I think couple of comments. Different, Adrak comes back. Different is Matt Taylor has been given money to spend more than any other manager.
Yeah, but we're 7 games
Again,
into the season. I mean, it's not like...
well, there's 2 points to that. We'll come back saying number one is 7 games in, and also I would love to know how much money Steve Evans spent on loans.
Oh God, yeah.
During his time at the club, it would have been a significant amount. So there's that. Let's look. There was a point about leaders I want to come to, Danny. Arak says no leaders in the team, and that's an issue, Danny. There is no leaders at the minute. There's no Sean Morrison. There's no Richard Wood. There are issues of leadership at the minute. What are your thoughts on? Is that a thing? Are we missing those leaders in that team, Danny?
I think it's interesting that we've made Morrison team captain, and now he's not in the team. It's gone back to Ollie Rathbone. Like, don't get me wrong, I like how involved Ollie is with the referee when like silly decisions are made, and he's very good at that aspect. But I think because this is Ollie's first experience of being a captain, he's effectively learning with it as well. Yeah. And he is very vocal with things. But again, it could be a confidence thing. I think it could be a confidence thing. I think Ollie's a very capable captain. Right? I think he's just very capable of it. He's noisy and he knows where to direct his attention, if that makes sense. But I think it just plays into the confidence thing. Like Mick said earlier, no one wants to put their head above the parapet. But I would say Ollie's a capable leader. It's just the mentality of where we are at the moment.
Yeah, I would probably agree. More context around that. Again, let's step back a little bit. We're only 7 games into a season. 3 of those games we've performed really well. 3.5, like you said, Sunderland game, let's say 3.5 of those games we've performed really badly. That's the highs have been quite high and the lows have been quite low, I suppose. That's the problem, Danny, that the lows have been bad, and the Stoke and the Millwall game particularly have been particularly low, but we're still very, very early days.
Yeah, we are. We're still quite early days. I mean, they say don't look at the league table until, around Christmas or New Year or whatever, but it's looking at these performances early doors, it's one of the ways, if this don't get sorted, we are in trouble. I think that's the mentality a lot of people have. If this don't get sorted, we are in trouble. I suppose it's always better to get it out of the way early doors than have this conversation again in February or March time. But it's the way in which we go about it. It's just, I think that's what's so frustrating about it. It's just the way we go about it. Like I say, with Stoke, now with Millwall, Huddersfield, those away games, we've almost had no bottle with it. The only game we've had bottle with was against Sunderland, but due to where we were at the time, we effectively dropped off after 70 minutes and Sunderland got 2 goals. But I'm with the general consensus, it does need to change quickly, because when you start getting to November time, if we're still putting in performances like this, then it's a bit of a now then sort of thing.
Yeah. Reg says, and that's so Reg says 7 games in is still not an excuse that performance. We are not defending the performance last night. It is, as many people put in the comments, last night's performance is indefensible. But it's only 1 game out of those 7, and I know the Stoke game was probably indefensible as well. But that's only a small way into the season. Is essentially what I'm trying to say.
This wouldn't be so disappointing if those games against Norwich and Blackburn and Leicester, performances weren't so good. Had we been bang average in those games, I could accept more criticism of Matt Taylor and of the team. I could accept it better. However, like I said earlier on, right at the start of this, it's literally not literally, obviously, but it's Jekyll and Hyde stuff. The gap, the difference is mind blowing, isn't it? It literally is like 2 different teams.
Sam Darby, not a fan of Matt Taylor, I don't think. He's a League 2 manager managing a Championship team. We shall agree to disagree, Sam. But people saying give him 15 games, give him till Christmas. I mean, I said this on the Huddersfield podcast, Mick. We're all happy and positive because of the signs we've made, but if we all step back and had a minute We all knew we were going to be in a relegation scrap this season. If you're in a relegation scrap, what that means is you're going to have some bad days. You're going to have some shocking days. You need to be able to take those shocking days and go, do you know what? Right, that is only a game. We've shown there is positives. And I know I'm going to sound like a broken record at this point, but you've just got to take a step back. I know it's hard taking a step back after how bad last night was. But you've got to just take back and just look at those 7 games as a whole and say there's enough positives in there to think we will at least be in the fight.
Who are you talking about here? Team or fans? No, it's a genuine question. It's a genuine question, because as supporters, we know if you've supported this club for long enough, there are going to be really, really crap days. There are going to be. It doesn't matter who the manager is. That's who we are. That's what happens to us. It's what happens to every football club. There are going to be crap days where your team underperforms massively in comparison to its potential. And that's what we've done in these last 2 games. We're arguably overperformed massively in the 2 games previous to that, 3 games previous to that, if you count the Blackburn one. So, I don't get this modern, and it is modern, or it feels very modern, idea that almost as soon as you lose a game, that's it, manager's got to go. It makes no sense to me at all. It makes no sense whatsoever, because all that happens is you end up on the manager merry-go-round with another Alan Stubbs or another Russell Martin, for example. You end up with somebody who's then going to start again and start to build with another team because it's not his players, and so on and so on and so forth. And all that ends up, you just end up dropping down. It's ridiculous. So yeah, we've got to accept it. We've got to accept that we're going to have bad days, and we're going to have more bad days this season. I hate to break it to anybody that's listening that doesn't know, we are going to lose some more games this season. It's going to happen. I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do about it as supporters. All we can do is try and get behind the team and try and create some confidence for them if they haven't got any. But they'll be working on that as well, obviously. Yeah. Every team accepts poor results, Sam. Every single supporter of every team accepts poor results. That is the nature of supporting a football team. In my view, it's my opinion. I'm not saying that that's a fact.
At this level, Man City.
At any level. But I'm sure if when Man City lose a game this season, which they undoubtedly will, some of their supporters will be banging on saying wanting Pep. Sack him. Yeah.
Pep for England manager.
The nature of the beast is that we are going to lose football games. That is not the issue here. What the issue is the level of performance that's been put in, particularly last night, and the Huddersfield game, but particularly last night. That is where it's not acceptable, and that is a thing that people are rightly complaining about. But to start just saying, "Oh, manager's no good, chairman's not done this," or I can't get my head around it. I can't honestly, because if I start banging on now about what the issues that the referee caused last night, because he were crap, absolutely appallingly crap, had nothing to do with whether we lost the game. I'm going to get people saying to me, "Oh, well, you can't blame referee." No, you can't blame referee, and I'm not. It was down to us and us solely as a team. But don't start with this. It's just mad. It's daft and it's pointless because it's not going to work.
I like how we've got to nearly 40 minutes without even mentioning the referee's performance. I think that's a record, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because how bad we were. Because he was bad. How bad were we?
Precisely. He was bad, but we were worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Don't get upset about it.
Do get upset about it, because that's what Sporting Football Club's about. You're going to get upset about it.
That's probably the wrong phraseology.
Get upset about it, but don't start talking daft.
Just think about the consequences of what you're asking for. Is Matt Taylor's day? Oh, Matt Taylor's day is numbered. Well, let's say that Matt Taylor's days are numbered, right? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, losing another game, he's going to get sacked. What happens then? You know, we've got 2 or 3 more games coming up in the period in between when we're going to be able to appoint a manager. So we're going to lose them because we ain't got a coach. And then we're going to have another manager come in. And the first thing that's going to be going, we can't wait for January transfer window to come around so we can sign some more players. And then, come February, well, we're in January transfer window. We didn't really have enough. Oh, he needs to be sacked. So on and so forth. And there we go on the same, roundabout. It's just pointless.
I think with managers of even with Paul Warne and with Taylor, like why were we so patient with Paul Warne? Like I get a lot of people wanting Paul Warne gone quicker than he was, but then in his 4th season? No, one he went longer than 4 seasons, wasn't it? 4th championship season was it? Where we had an absolutely stellar start. That's the thing, it takes time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Taylor's been here a year and nearly a year. And we've put in some decent performances. All right, the majority of them have been at home, but there's still decent performances. And even this season, we look at Leicester, Norwich. Again, they're at home, admittedly, right? But there's still good performances there. But I go back to Taylor's time at Exeter. It took time and perseverance. You know, Exeter got absolutely battered at times, but they persevered, and Taylor took them up and got them steady in League One. And now Exeter are building up on that pedestal to get into being a good team in League One. Maybe that's the vision Tony Stewart's seen and brought Matt Taylor in, building up on the pedestal. But it takes time and investment. Taylor's had the investment, and now he just needs the time. And it's a silly conversation to even think that his days are numbered. He'll still be here at end of season, and I'll put money on it.
I agree. I think even if we go down, I'll still be here.
I agree.
With that or not. Again, I'm not going to get into this Taylor out conversation too much, but there's 2 comments here. Been over a year, says Jack, quoting somebody else. He put, was years of relegation until Taylor walked through the door. John Bell says, Paul Warne was a fan's favourite. Taylor doesn't have the relationship or credit in the bank with the fans, I imagine. I mean, I can only speak from personal, but he kept us up last season. That puts a lot of credit in his bank for me. He did something we haven't done in such a long time. That's plenty of credit in bank. Jamie says, and I think this is a positive, I accept Taylor made the wrong decision, but at least he's willing to make changes and learn from his mistakes. He was very open in his post-match yesterday about it. He didn't just try and defend anybody. He didn't try and defend the players. I don't think he particularly tried to defend himself. He's coming out and being honest about the situation, much like he was at Millwall on New Year's Day. He's coming out and trying to be honest about the situation. He's aware it's not good enough. He's not sitting there saying, no, it's all right. We lost 3 losses at Millwall. That's going to happen. He's saying it's not good enough. The performance was gone at that time. Reg says, fans don't have the divine right to have their team win every game, but you should at least have the right to see the players putting in 99% in. Yeah, and that was the problem last night. It didn't look like the players. I'm sure they were giving everything they've got, but it didn't look that way. And that's why we're all angry. Angry, a right word?
Frustrated. I think frustrated is a word. I mean, I don't know whether you're going to mention this, but what Phil said about the point of the podcast. If I only want fans to comment on what I agree with, I don't. That's the whole point of it. That's absolutely the whole point of it. You know, it's about debating it, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, and everybody's entitled to express that opinion. What I'm saying is, we need to think about what we're asking for, you know, and have some consideration and thought as to the consequences of what you're actually, not you personally, Phil, but fans in general are asking for. You know, the whole point of this is for us to debate it and have different points of view. And I've no doubt lots of people have got different points of view to me. Lots of people have the same point of view. You know, that's what it's all about, isn't it? But we as fans need to consider the consequences of what we're asking for. That's the point I'm trying to make. Probably not very well.
Yeah. Football, man. It's great, isn't it? Great.
I do love how it is legit like therapy. We'll come in, have a few swings at each other and sit down. It's like actually at end of the day.
Yeah. It's the cheapest therapy I'll ever have. I can't say
all I'm saying is, Howard Webb, if you are in this therapy session watching, sort your referees out because basically they're all idiots, bar about like 2 good ones at this level.
Somebody mentioned about the international break. Smedley, I think somebody else mentioned this in the comments. How come we are so bad after the international break? It was 5 games after it. Yeah, that's
a valid question, actually.
It's odd. Yeah, I don't get it. That is weird. And there's another international break in 4 games' time.
Oh, Jesus.
So that's exciting. And then there's another one in November as well, I think. I think there's 3 pre-Christmas. Yeah.
Can it just be like League One where we just get to play on? We've only got like 2 internationals, 2 or 3 internationals.
What's that now? We might be back down there next year.
We'll be in League One next year. Danny, what you on about?
If you've not got enough internationals, you play your game, let everybody else postpone their games because they obviously have the squad size for it to carry on.
Any positives? I would say that I thought Sam Clucas did okay in the first half. He certainly wasn't the worst performer, but he also, clearly Danny is not match fit, and that's obviously why he got pulled at half time. But you can see something there from me.
Yeah, I agree. He was like that against Huddersfield as well. He came on and really put himself about. It'll be an interesting development on how we carry on with midfield because, like you say, he's obviously not up to match fitness because he's not had a pre-season at all, and he's come into our squad after the transfer window. So that's like a big window of him just keeping himself fit rather than not being with a squad, you know. But no, he's got a bit about him, hasn't he? He's got a bit about him, and yeah, he had to be took off after 45 minutes due to match fitness. I imagine it would have been a swap with potentially Cafu if Cafu was fit, or vice versa. But no, he's got something about him. I like him. He gave the ball away a fair bit, but didn't everybody? It's like everybody gave the ball away so much in that performance against Millwall. I at least gave 1 ball away, and I was in my front room. He's like, oh.
The only 2 players that didn't get ball away were Nombe and Hugo, and that's because they didn't touch it.
Yeah.
They didn't go anywhere near him.
And Victor, but yeah.
I do feel a bit sorry for Victor, some doing games like that where he's on a hide and nothing, isn't he? What's the lad meant to do? He does. Yeah.
I mean that second goal of theirs took at least 2, possibly 3 deflections before he got to him.
Wasn't that third?
No, that was second. The second one from the edge of the box. The third one, it's into Rupert net, didn't it? The one from outside the box, it took at least 2, possibly 3 deflections when you see it from behind the goal. And each one took it a little bit further away from where Victor was. Woeful defending, dreadful defending. But, it is what it is.
Happy days. Chris Wright mentions the fitness thing. Fitness thing bothers him, full stop. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I feel like I'm defending the team too much, but there's the injury issues, meaning that we can't manage the players properly. If that sort of makes sense, we're having to keep Dexter out there, even though he can barely walk, because we need him. Revan probably played 20 minutes too long last night because he needed to play those minutes.
Is Humphrey still playing with the illness as well?
Humphreys was ill, yeah, exactly. That's not helping. I'm not sure if that's a big enough excuse. It's probably not. But they don't look right. They don't look in a sweet spot in terms of fitness, do they? I think it's fair to say, which probably doesn't help. Matt Till
and the fact that we've got 6 senior players out as well.
Yeah, Matt Till says the cavalry's not coming around the corner, so none of those are going to be fit. There's a chance Bramall might be fit for Saturday. But he didn't sound very positive, to be honest with you, about that. So that's going to be...
It's interesting it's interesting how you and Paul Davis have read that comment. I didn't read it that way. I read it that, we're not getting any new players in, which we know anyway. But I read it as, or heard it as him saying, transfer window's shut. We ain't going to be getting cavalry coming around corner. We're a batch of new players. That's how I understood it.
You're right.
I don't know.
I hope you're right.
We know the injury status, don't we, of the majority, It's just Cafu and Bramall who we're a little bit in the dark about in terms of the severity of the injuries. There are certainly 2 that we would hope would be in contention for the weekend, particularly Cafu. I thought Revan he grew into the game last night. I thought he was pretty average in that first half, but he started to show what he's about, and he's obviously a very capable player. So yeah, he looks promising. I thought Apaya looked better when he came on. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
I noticed what you said about him, that he doesn't seem to go forward with the ball. It's either sideways.
That's the issue. So we'll have to wait and see, won't we? But I didn't read it that way. I didn't read what Matt Taylor said in that fashion.
Yeah, I thought Eves struggled. Nick, and everybody struggled. I thought Eves struggled.
But you said that, and
he ran around, didn't he?
What could he do? Yeah,
I know, but there was that chance in the box, didn't he, where he put himself in a good position and then
slipped.
Yeah, he got his back to goal completely. He needed to do a full 360 or a full 180 to get anywhere near, surrounded by 3 or 4 6'7" defenders. It's not that if he'd have managed to get that away, that would have been a hell of a goal, you know. So, yeah.
Dave Carroll says that we let a centre half go out. Yeah, it's Jim McCart, and I've seen some.
Where's Jamie McCart gone again?
Barnsley.
He's gone to Barnsley. I've seen complaints from Barnsley fans about him, to be honest with you. So that's that one.
That might have been why he went out.
Also, JJ's done his injury again. JJ's out for 8 weeks, 12 weeks.
Something like that. He's done his shoulder now, hasn't he? He's just hated it. The poor lad can't catch a break, can he?
No. Jack says Taylor signed all these players, but didn't hear anybody moaning when we signed Grant Hall. In fact, some felt he should have been offered more than a year. Yeah.
Same with Sean Morrison and Tyler Blackett, who actually put in some good performances, and that's why we re-signed him.
Yeah. Right. Anything else from the Millwall game for a knock on Ed?
I think we've upset enough people, or people are upset enough, or maybe somebody can come out of this with a little bit of closure.
Can we just wind it up just a little bit more? Like I haven't fulfilled me winding up of Robin yet.
Let's move on because it just gets a bit easier Saturday. Top of the league, 7 wins in a row. Preston North End come to New York Stadium. Their only defeat this season was a penalty shootout defeat to Salford in the Carabao Cup.
Of all teams, it's Salford. Oh my God.
How are you feeling about this, Mick? Because we played Preston last year, and Matt Taylor talked about structured games, and we don't struggle in the less structured games. And what I take from that is you talk about teams who make things difficult, make it a bit dirty, a bit of physicality. We struggle in those games. That's what Preston do. And Preston are clearly very good at it because they're top at league. So that's a worry for me based on Matt Taylor's comments. Never forget about who Preston have played and everything else. That's a worry based on what Matt Taylor said.
Yeah. If they're going to come and mucky the game up and not, we might struggle. But we have been so much better at home. We've been so much better at home. Yeah. Norwich came to New York Stadium on a hell of a run and went away with the tail between the legs. There's no reason why the same can't happen on Saturday because of the huge difference in performances between being away from home and at home. Clearly, if we carry Wednesday night's performance into Saturday, then it's going to be a long old afternoon, obviously. I don't think we will. I genuinely don't. I've not seen the teams or the run that Preston have had, but I don't think they've been playing any of the top teams yet, have they? You know,
not really.
Listen. All we can do is go into it with the proper attitude and get into their faces like we normally do at home. And if we're able to do that, and hopefully it'd be great to get Cathal back because I think he is that glue that holds that midfield together, and he is that leader that people talked about earlier on. So it'd be great if we could get him back. But if we don't, we don't. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not. I can't say I'm brimming with confidence. Obviously, after what I've witnessed in the last two games.
No.
But you know, if we were coming off the back of that Norwich game, I'd be very confident that we could get something out of it. So hopefully the players and the management team will go into this game as if we'll just feel the Millwall never happened. And we are coming off the back of that Norwich game. And if they do, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, if you want a bit more from the Preston side, I have spoken to Ollie from the Butter Pie podcast, which is a lovely name for a podcast. That will be out on the YouTube channel tomorrow, so Friday. I think I'm scheduled to go out at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's about a 15-minute thing. It's just a guy who's really loving following his football team. I really enjoyed speaking to him because the top of the league won 7 in a row. He's just happy at the minute. It was quite a nice speech. We've got a successful football team on the pitch at the minute. But he gives some good insights on how they're going to set up as well. So I do recommend that tomorrow morning if you're not doing anything, or tomorrow night if you are doing something in the morning. So Preston's run it's kind. They drew up Bristol City. They beat Sunderland at home after Sunderland's poor start. They beat Wednesday. They beat Swansea. They beat Stoke, beat Plymouth, and obviously beat Birmingham midweek. John said in the comments that they were pretty lucky to get a win out of that. So it is a very, very kind. They haven't played Norwich. They haven't played Leicester. They haven't sort of placed him. But you can't still sniff it. Like if we were in their position, we're buzzing about life, wouldn't we? So I don't think we should sort of look. They've been clinical. John put in the comments, look at the stats. Preston have been stupidly clinical. They've got one lad, Miller, wide left, has looked decent. Left looked bang average. I think we're after Miller in the summer. Obviously, was it Liam Miller? Something like that? Yeah. Might be a different Miller we're after. But yeah. The problem is, Danny, and I think this is the problem with the away form, is that eventually, if that away form continues, it puts pressure on the home form. And if you start losing your home forms, if your away form continues as it is, and you lose 2 or 3 or go 4 or 5 games without a win at home, you are going to start losing track of the rest of the division. These home games are now extra crucial.
Yeah, and it puts even more pressure on you to perform in home games, which will affect your confidence even more on top of that, which is actually what we don't need at the minute. But I think it's no mistake that in other championship seasons, home form has carried us, sometimes over the line like last season, other times it hasn't because away form's just been poor anyway. But just going to Preston, they have to lose eventually. I don't think they'll do another Invincibles. I mean, they've only done it once, and that were 1889 or something. So I don't think they'll do that. So they have to lose eventually, and hopefully it's on Saturday. And that's the only shred of confidence I have about this game. They have to lose eventually, and that's it.
John as well just wants. He says he mentions Will Keane injured. No, Will Keane should be back. He's got 4 goals this season. Again, Ollie from the Butterfly Podcast says that Will Keane should be back, who was at obviously at Wigan last season, who is a bit of a handful. Where's your positivity meter, Mick? You're feeling positive because we're back at home. You're on the floor because of the last 2 games. Where are you sitting on your on the barometer of positivity?
That's a really unfair question, that, isn't it? I daren't say anything positive because I don't want to attract the wrath of anybody. I don't know. I genuinely don't know, because I can't, in my own mind, I can't reconcile those last 2 performances with the last home performance, and I can't see how the last home performance is not going to be affected. The next home performance is not going to be affected by the last 2 away performances, if that makes sense. So they've got a tough job on their hands, the management team and the players themselves. Pull themselves up by bootstraps and get back into that frame of mind that allowed us to get the results that we got, the home results that we've got, or the home performances that we've had. So where I am sitting, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm right on the fence at the moment. I think it could go either way.
Yeah, I do. What do I see in terms of lineups, Danny? This is a big question because he started Nombe first time midweek. He started Klukas first time Revan in midweek. We're assuming there may be players back, but if they come back, they probably won't start. If Capu's fit, it might be on benched just to not rush him back. What formation do you want to see? So I suppose.
Oh, don't start this again.
3-5-2, 4-3-3.
I mean,
7-2-1. I don't know what it was.
Should we just play 9-1-1? Just for that? No, 8-1-1. Just for that. In fact, no, put Victor in defence. I'm almost on goal line as far as I'm cut now. Anyway, serious now. Looking at how Preston lined up for their last game. Footmob's got them down as a 3-4-2-1. So sort of like a Christmas tree formation. So I would say pumping it long probably isn't an option. So I would say...
anyway, do it.
Yeah, exactly. But I'd like to see Nombe start up top without Hugo. Still have the two up top, but have Nombe start in Hugo's place effectively. Keep the 4-3-3 because we played better, slightly better. And I mean slight. It's like width of a Nat's backside better with 4 at the back than we did with 3 against Millwall. So I'd go 4-3-3, but have Nombe in the middle, flanked by Onyedinma and Green, I think.
Okay. Make you sort of similar to
that? Possibly. I've not seen anything of Nombe yet that's made me think that he's got any pace, to be honest. I might be wrong on that. I don't think he's been involved in any way when he's come on, or when he's been on the pitch, sorry. I don't think he was involved last night, but that's no criticism of him whatsoever.
No.
Because nobody were involved on Wednesday night. And obviously he only got a few minutes when he came on last time. So it depends on how they are defensively, doesn't it? If they've got three Colossus or whatever the plural of Colossus is.
Colossi.
Then maybe Hugo's not the man. Has he not played for Preston in the past?
Hugo has played for Preston as a former club. They're one of the few fans that rate him very highly. So
therefore, Jordan Hugo's the first name on the team sheet for Saturday. Then, interesting, quite clearly. So, yeah, I don't think you can second guess what's going to happen in terms of lineups, because he's got his work cut out for him given the overall performance of the team, and whether he finds that certain individuals were more responsible than others for that, or whether it was just a team performance and it's same team, get out there and prove me wrong kind of attitude. We'll have to play that one by ear. I think you could go on all night, with different combinations of different players. Don't know, no idea.
The one thing I want to see on on Saturday is us to do the simple things effectively. If you look after the ball, it looks after you, to quote John Breckin. And we haven't looked after the ball enough. We've given it away far too cheaply against Huddersfield and Millwall. But we looked after it against Norwich and we pressed them high. And just going to John Morell's comment, you can't deal with a high press. So if we have some mobility up top and press their back line, then we might see it working to our favour. But just look after the ball. Look after the ball and look for the space. Obviously, it's easier said than done. But we've not been doing that.
Given what John said there, if that's the case, then Hakeem Adofin is another dead cert starter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he will cause problems in that press. So I wouldn't want to be in Matt Taylor's shoes for a number of reasons, and picking the team this Saturday is one of them.
Yeah, I agree.
In fact, I think playing 4-3-3 suits us doing a high press better.
Yeah, it does.
To be fair.
Yeah, it does definitely. Race Memley says, when we win on Saturday, the fans slating Taylor will be the ones saying we're going to finish mid-table. Fourth and bottom will do him.
There'll be one saying we're going to win league.
Are you trying to suggest that football fans are fickle, Ray?
One of the things I would point out is that fourth bottom this season for any club in this division, any club will be a massive achievement because, or not achievement, that's not the right word, a massive bonus because financially it's going to be a huge benefit next season. So I will happily take that right now, which will allow us to gain some more experience in this division. Matt Taylor to gain some more experience in this division, and then have a decent kitty come next season. I accept everybody else will have a decent kitty as well, but
Yeah. John Bradfish said they do look very dangerous at set piece. They got Brown, I think, who puts in a cracker ball. We don't look too bad from set pieces. From dead ball, we look okay. It's when it's not dead ball that's the problem.
Yeah.
So
it's when people are running at you and stuff, it's just like
no movement. It's like netball where you don't move.
I think we should propose a new rule
Yeah.
What if you're in possession, you just don't move?
Yeah, you
Correct.
can't move. You can only move. You've got to keep 1 foot on the floor in the same position all the time.
So basically, want to make it live action table football.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. Yeah. I'm sure I've done that in training before. I'm sure we've all done that in training before. You can't move. Anyway, let's do some predictions. I am going to do... My prediction tells you exactly where I am at the minute. And I think Preston are going to win 2-0. I'm not positive at all. Nick?
Rotherham are going to win 2-0. 2-0 later this season, we're going to win 2-0.
Well, and what happens when we do it? You're going to then continue saying 2-0?
Yeah. I don't know. I'll pick another score then.
The thing is, we don't win many games in the Championship, so most of the time this is going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Danny?
Whatever.
Do I do the prediction which I think is going to be right, or the one to try and build up my own positivity?
Well, the one you want points on the board, mate, because I think you and Mick are still pointless in the prediction league.
Oh, Preston are going to win 3-1 then.
That's what I like. Yours says the same. Preston 3-1. Phil says 0-2. Martin Holland says 2-0 loss. John Brunel's put us for a point, 1-1. It says 3-0 to Preston. Chris Taylor 2-1. Tobias is always with the positivity. We need Tobias on more often, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
He's just a big ball of positivity. He says no danger on the roof. 3-0. I like it.
If we win 3-0, I am going to go on an absolute madness of a night out in Sheffield, and I tell you what.
Race Medley says, gotta say Mick should have been a comedian. He thinks 2-1 to the Millers, coming back from 1-0 down. Chav says pray for
And then he says I'm supposed to be a comedian.
Yeah, coming back from a goal down. What's going on?
What are you on about there, Ray?
Rob Hamilton 3-2 to the Millers with a Kelly hat trick.
So we're going to come back from 2-0 down with Rob's prediction. Right, okay.
Adrak 1-0, Ronnie to come on and score. And Reg 4-1, bugger it, 4-1 to the Millers. A mixture of predictions in there.
Right, I honestly think this Millwall result has actually sent us all a bit dual alley, because we've got
broken the fan base.
4-1s, coming from a goal behind. What's going on? Have we all just like decreased and just gone into madness or something? Often winning 4-1 at home, that's not happened in the Championship. We've won 4-0, but not ever 4-1.
Probably not. Ian Bradley says a rather positive 2-1 to Preston. Hopefully, John says we can do them a favour and they can do us a favour against QPR. Yeah, we all want to see Gareth Andrews lose, don't we?
Yeah,
we're all in this together and that kind of thing. Same with Russ Martin as well. Any more?
I know we've had a lot of chat on this podcast previously about the standard of food on the concourses at New York Stadium. Get yourself over to the Rotherham United website if you've got an opinion on it. Leave some constructive criticism on there. There is an article on there. I'm sure we might be able to post a link to it in the comments section below to give some feedback, I guess, on what you think might be improved or otherwise.
My feedback was plain and simple: don't burn the pies.
Oh. There's obviously been a lot of talk about it on social media. So if you have got an opinion on it, tell the club what that opinion is. Chances are nothing will end up getting done about it. However, you can't on the same token say club never do it about it. They never even ask people about it. So
there'll be fans forum due soon, won't they? They normally do it about November, December time, don't they? Well, they did last year.
If we're not winning away game by December, that's going to be a fun one.
Should do it with Mum. Do it at Hillsborough. Positive. We always do well.
I mean, I had fan forum at Hillsborough.
And Rex says, get ready for Sunday if we lose. Yeah. I read with the right one that the fans need a 12th man. Yeah, get behind the players. If you go in there on Saturday, get behind. I know Preston have sold out their allocation. Always do, to be fair. So if you are going down, make sure you go down. If you've got a ticket, fill your seat and get behind the Millers as much as possible. Even if we go 1-0 down, even if we go 2-0 down, stick with the team as best you can, because they need us. And especially games like this where you're playing top at league, they need your support as much as you can give. So please do support the Millers. I want to say thank you to the Donny fan who's put a donation. He's put big up you guys, but you're going down.
What league are Donny in again?
Yeah. I feel badly mean to Donny because Woody's there, isn't it? I feel so like Woody's there.
Did you see the stat that we haven't kept a clean sheet since Woody left? But I don't think Donny have got a clean sheet since he joined.
Poor Woody. It's not going well. I'm sure he'll turn it around anyway. Final call. Anything else?
I think Johnny will turn it around as well, to be quite honest with you. There seems to be some, I think they've possibly got the right idea there. So.
Fair enough. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. If you have joined us tonight, please make sure you have subscribed on YouTube and give the video a thumbs up as well, because that helps us. And it's free. It helps us and it's free. If you are on iTunes or Spotify, make sure you subscribe where you're listening, and please do subscribe or follow wherever it is on Spotify, and give us a 5-star rating, which will let other people know that you think we're doing an okay job, which I hope we are. As always, if you think we're doing a rubbish job, don't worry about it. Give it to yourself. We don't worry about it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mick. It's been it's been one of those days, hasn't it?
It has. It hasn't even been therapeutic, to be fair.
No,
I'm still fed up as I were when I first started, so not made any difference at all. But thanks for trying.
Yeah, I don't feel any better. I tell you what, the other thing that made me feel better, Danny, will be a win on Saturday, and then I will feel very happy.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be very happy if we win on Saturday. But yeah, the one positivity, Preston have to lose eventually.
They do, absolutely do. Keep an eye on YouTube, because actually the scout report's up tomorrow morning from Ollie from the Butter Pie podcast. The instant reaction will be out Saturday night. You know, if we get a spanker on Saturday, that instant reaction can be an absolute belter.
Right, if we get absolutely battered on Saturday, please come round to where we do the post-match reactions, because we want to get everyone's thoughts on it. It'll end up being its own podcast, and we'll still be stood there when it's pitch black and they've turned all lights off. But no, come round and say hello, and if you want to come on and give your 2p on what's been happening, then please do.
Yeah, but we're by the memorial wall outside the Cop and out the North Stand. So if you do want to get involved, or you want to speak to us beforehand, send us a message. If you want to come on, more than welcome. We want that kind of show to be everybody's show, get the fans' view. So, John Mel, if you get a batter who's driving up to
Just meet John in the pub after, right then.
When it's 4-0 after half an hour, John will just pop in his car up to New York Stadium. Yeah. Again, thank you, everybody who's been with us. I hope we made you feel a bit better. If not, we did our very, very best. Thank you for being with us, and we will see you on the next episode, which will be Sunday, probably. Thank you, everybody, and up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
Slides into Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Foderingham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box, the Dauphin, he can hit them, and he does. The Dauphin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.